Hi, welcome to Preheat. Tonight on What's for Dinner, I'm going to share with you what we're having for dinner. It's a pasta bake just with veggies, and I'm going to top it with the bechamel sauce, which I'll share a link up above for that recipe. So first tip is we've got our oven on preheated on 180 degrees, and I'm just using what veggies I've got in the fridge. So I had some fennel, I've got half an onion already sliced up, and I've got one courgette or zucchini. So I'm just going to pop that on this tray. We're going to get that roasting for about 30 minutes. I'm just going to spread it out a little bit. And I'll keep an eye on it, and about the 20-minute mark I'll give it a bit of a toss. Now you can add peppers or mushrooms, fresh tomatoes, whatever you've got. But this is all I have. So this is what I'm including tonight. So just a drizzle of olive oil. We're going to whack that in the oven. My apologies, the oven's on 200 degrees, which is 400 Fahrenheit. Here I've got some boiling water, and I've just measured out 3 lots of 500 mils, so that's, what's that, 1500 mils? And so we need to get that water boiling, and I'm going to add Truffia pasta, which is this Barilla brand. I love this pasta, and it's kind of like these little twisted shapes. You can add wholemeal penne, you can have gluten-free pasta, whatever you prefer. Now on the box, it says to cook it for 10 minutes, but for a pasta bake, I like to undercook it. So I do it for about 8 minutes. So it's quite al dente, because then when you finish it off in the oven with the sauce, it cooks through a little bit more and you don't want it to be too soggy. So once it's all boiling and bubbling, we'll add the pasta. So what I might do, just to keep continuing, I might transfer this to the back so it can cook behind us. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to that pot, get that boiling. And we'll stop that induction hob from tweaking. So I'll get this other pan sorted, and let's make the sauce. So we'll get that heated up, and I'll add a little bit of olive oil to the base. So into the fry pan we're going to add, I've got half a chopped onion. The onion was quite large, so what I decided to do, instead of using 2 onions, I've got half that I'm roasting and half here. So I'm just going to saute that for a few minutes. So with this kind of pasta sauce, we just want to get the onions soft but not too brown. And I'm going to add the garlic. You can either chop the garlic, but I like mincing it. And if you don't have garlic, you can use garlic granules or garlic powder. If you don't have fresh garlic, that is. And you can add more garlic, but I only like a little bit of garlic. And then I'm adding some chopped up carrots for sweetness, because I had some carrot sticks that I had to use up, and celery. So there's about half a cup of each. So you want to make sure that this celery and carrot's a little bit soft before we add the other ingredients. To quicken it up, I'm going to put the lid on. Okay, I think we'll be right now. So next we added some black pepper, a little bit of salt. I'm going to add some dried herbs. I've only got oregano and basil, so that gives it a bit of an Italian feel. A teaspoon of each. Fry those a little bit. Get back in. Now we go in with some crushed tomatoes. So I love this Italian brand. It's a muti. They're always really thick and not watery, so I buy those all the time. So that just needs to gently simmer now while we wait for the other vegetables. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap this with the pot of boiling water. So here's our pasta water back, all nice and hot. So we've got some salt in there, and I've got 250 grams of my pasta. And I'm going to set my timer for 8 minutes. And I've got a little pasta spoon here, so I'm just going to stir those to make sure they're not going to stick together. So our timer for our pasta is just about to go off. And it's kind of cooked, but not totally cooked, which is perfect. I'm just going to drain this off. I'm not going to rinse it, because I still want to keep some of the starch on the pasta. So our pasta sauce is lovely and rich. And one thing I always do, because I like to rinse out my tins for any extra tomato in the bottom, I just add like a tiny bit of water to the base, and then I add it to the sauce to clean out the tin and to give a little bit of moisture. So it's about 1/4 cup. And that's just, I use my eye just to check if it needs a little bit of water, I do that. But as a general rule, I don't like to waste any tomatoes left in there. And our vegetables, I think our vegetables are almost done. And today I'm going to toss it into, I've got my lasagna dish which I use for my bakes, which this will be a generous serve for 2, and we'll have some leftovers that we can have for lunch. But if you're feeding a family, just double this recipe. And I've already made a bechamel sauce to go on top. So my bechamel sauce is gluten-free and plant-based, and I've popped some seeded mustard in there, French seeded mustard, so it's got a few grainy bits, but we're going to put that on top just to add a little bit of cheesiness. And I'll pop a link up above so you've got the recipe for how to make the bechamel sauce. Just going to check on the vegetables, and I think they're looking pretty good. Check them out. So I'm going to just pop them here. So I'm tossing them into the pasta sauce. I roasted fennel last week and it was so delicious that I thought I'd do it again. And if you want to go in with some more pasta sauce, feel free, but I find this is enough. The other thing I haven't added tonight, so just go in with a teaspoon of white sugar. Many years ago, I worked with an Italian lady and I used to chat with her at lunchtime, and that was her tip to balance your tomato sauce by adding a little bit of sugar. Okay, that's cooked. Well, we don't really need to cook it, we just needed to toss it around. So now I need to get it into I turned my oven off by mistake, so I've just dropped it back to 180, and we'll pop this in once we've got it all in. So here's the recycled butter wrapper. I'm just going around the edges, and that'll just make cleaning up so much easier later on. Need an extra pair of hands in the kitchen sometimes. I'm trying to put all this in here. Then I've got my pre-made, I'll just flatten that down a bit. Looking quite full. I had some greens that I was going to throw on top, but I think I might change what I'm going to do. I'm going to saute that and just serve it on the side because I think there's enough going on in there. Sometimes I change things up and ad-lib as I go. This is my creative brain in swing. Okay, now if you did want to add Parmesan cheese, pop it on the top now before we throw this in the oven. But all we need to do now, just tap that pasta down. I'm going to bake this for 15 minutes, and in the meantime, I'll stir fry some of that greens. So grab a little fry pan, we'll just heat the pan up. So I'm going to toss a little bit of olive oil in there, or you can use coconut oil. Now, this is called spring greens, and it looks like some kind of chard. It's not kale and it's not spinach. It came with my organic fruit and veg delivery last week. And so I've just washed it, shredded it really finely, and cut out the thick stem on the middle. So this is how I cook kale, spinach, that kind of thing to go as a side when I'm just wanting some extra greens, really. So in this fry pan, I add the greens, and then I toss in, sometimes I do butter if I'm not being too worried about that, some garlic powder. I love this garlic powder. And just kind of stir fry it for a few minutes. Well, it tastes delicious. Kind of a handy way to add extra greens that taste good without munching through raw kale or raw spinach. I'll just add a little flakes of salt. See how it's wilting and just reducing in size slowly. That's done, so I'm going to pop that aside, and that'll be ready for when our bake comes out. The pasta bake's cooked, and I've had it sitting here for about 10 minutes just to kind of settle down. It's quite creamy, and let's do a taste test and see what it's like. So this is how I'll serve it. And then I'll add some of these greens. It'll be one of those things that won't photograph well, but it'll taste great. It's still really hot. I don't know about you, but pasta bakes are great for kind of midweek when I'm waiting on my husband to come home because he's out cycling. You can just pop them in the oven, have them ready, and then the family can help themselves whenever they need to eat. It tastes really good. It's so tasty. The fennel tastes amazing. I just want to stand here and eat it all. This is really, really good. So let me know if you give this a go. Pop a comment below and hit the thumbs up if you've liked my video and you've liked my idea today. Don't forget, if you're new, consider subscribing and hit the bell, then you get notified when I've got a new video. I'm doing 3 videos a week, and one is usually a what's for dinner. Share it with a friend, and I'll pop a few links up above for some other dinner ideas that are quick and easy. delicious. I'm going to go away and eat it. Bye. I shouldn't eat so much in front of you. See you later.